Hello and welcome to Talk of the Game. And well, we're parking the performance against Man City. We're now ready to talk about the game on Saturday between Southampton and West Ham United. We've got a debutant tonight. You won't see him, but you'll hear him. He's got an intro on his video shows a song, but we're not going to play that song because the YouTube copyright will be all over it, and this video won't be so good. But we've got Exwhuemployee with us and Gonzo as normal. Before we kick on, just a quick reminder: we've got a GoFundMe. The link is below. Anything over £500, we're going to split between the Flag Fund and Gonzo. So anything over £500, half of it's going to go to Gonzo. But let's get on with the show. Gonzo, what's your thoughts on our opponent, Southampton?
They sold their long-standing centre-back to us, of course. Their other centre-back, Van Dijk, is out. I understand Charlie Austin was firing for him at the start of the season. He's injured now, I believe. And they had Nathan Redmond, who was a player I would have liked us to have signed. And they seem to have gone off the boil a little bit, though. So I think possibly a good time to be playing them.
X, what's your thoughts on the Saints?
I'll just echo exactly what Gonzo's just said there, to be fair. I think it's a good time to play them. As he said, injuries to their best players at centre-back. Carroll's got to be looking forward to going against the current partnership of, I think, Yoshida and Stevens, is it? Neither particularly commanding in the air, so that's going to be beneficial to him. And yeah, good time to play them.
Well, the Saints are just a point below us in the league, but you can manipulate their form. Their form is very easy to manipulate. You can say they've won 4 of their last 7 in all competitions if they got to the final of the League Cup, or you can say that they've only got 3 points from their last 7 Premier League games. So it's up to you how you manipulate that form. It depends who you support, I suppose. You're going to manipulate either way to suit you. If you're a Saints fan, they've won 4 and 7. If you're a West Ham fan, they've only got 3 points from 21. Does Shane Long fear you, Gonzo? It's a striker we got linked with in January. There wasn't too much, but people say he didn't score enough, which is true. But he scored 3 in his last 5 now for Southampton.
Yeah, it's been a feature of his career that he doesn't score enough. I seem to remember him at Reading, actually. But he's fast, he's quick, he links to play well, he runs the channels. And I think he's a good player. And I think he got a £12 million transfer to Southampton. So he's certainly someone that we'd have to keep an eye on. I don't think he's in the class of some of the other strikers we've played against recently. So you would expect our 2 centre-backs to contain him. And then, of course, they've got the new lad, Gabbiadini, coming on, who's going to probably try and do something from the bench as well.
Yeah, the manager did say he's going to ease him in. So I don't think he's played football for a month. So, like you say, we might see him from the bench. But, X, do you fear their attack? They've got Long, they've got Tadic, Redmond, Buffal. They've got a young kid who came on at the weekend called Sims, who's got 5 and 9 for their Premier League 2 sort of team.
Yeah, they've got a great attacking lineup. I think Tadic's a good player, Redmond's a good player. But the one thing that we've got in our favour is that we've got Fonte being an ex-Southampton player. So he's going to know full well what they're going to be bringing to the attacking play. So hopefully he's going to be using his inside information to clue up the fullbacks, certainly, because they need to raise their game, and Reed to really let them into what they're going to be trying, in terms of their strengths, and hopefully his inside knowledge will benefit us.
X, last question on Southampton before we move on to their own team. Can Southampton get dragged into a relegation battle given their poor Premier League form? They're only, 8 points ahead of Crystal Palace. They've got the League Cup distraction, which we saw what it did to Birmingham.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think they've probably got a bit too much. I think they're a bit better quality than the teams that are down there. I mean, I know Palace won yesterday and Swansea got a decent result, and Sunderland, and Hull, all of them picked up decent results, to be fair. But I think those teams down there are worse than Southampton's. I think they should be all right.
Well, the middle of the show, that means it's time for the man in the middle. Now, I like to think I know my referees. I've never heard of this bloke. I had to look him up. Graham Scott. You ever heard of that referee? Probably not. I'll tell you why. This is his 11th ever Premier League game. He's only refereed 10 Premier League games before this. And it's the 3rd time he's going to referee a West Ham game. The last time he refereed us was in 2013 when we beat Cheltenham 2-1. And before that was in 2011 when we got beat 2-1 by Aldershot. Southampton, however, have had him this season when they lost 2-1 to Hull, but that's the only time he's ever refed a Southampton game in the Premier League. Right, West Ham time. Gonzo, we've not won at Southampton since November 2000. 7 games since then. We've drawn 4, lost 3. Is this our real bogey ground? Bilic has done it at Anfield. He's done it at Goodison. Is this the last ground for him to sort of tick off?
Yeah, well, I was there last year, and it was a bitterly cold night. And as it is, the wind blows in on the south coast. I think Wanyama was chopping people about. Maybe he got sent off. I can't remember. Yeah, it was a horrible, horrible. They've got quite noisy fans as well, which is nothing wrong with that, of course. It's not a great place to go, but having said that, I think we can probably break the duck and do something tomorrow for all the reasons that we said. But yeah, I can understand why it's a difficult place to go to.
Not only that, Fraser Foster will be confident against us. He's kept a clean sheet in his last 3 games against West Ham United. Let's talk about changes. We'll start with the attacking side of it. Would you like to see Snodgrass come in?
Yeah, for me, I think Snodgrass has got to come in for Viguli. I thought, Viguli deserved to start against Man City because he played well in the last couple of games, but his performance was poor. And I think Snodgrass came on, looked lively, looked the difference, and also he's got the set pieces, which I thought, again, we lacked against Man City. So I would make that change, definitely.
Would you bring in Czech as well, X?
Yes, because I think, again, Obiang and Noble were both poor. I mean, to be fair, everyone was poor, really. But I would like to see, believe it or not, this is going to be controversial, I think I'd like to see him with Obiang and drop Noble.
Yeah, Gonzo, do you agree with that two kind of switches? Are they the two obvious switches for everyone to see?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play 2 in the middle, you're going to need somebody very, very mobile in there. And I like 2 in the middle because it means we're playing 2 up front, and we did start with the intention last night of having 2 up front. Antonio did start central. Carroll was there as well, and Antonio tried hard. So as X said, most people were rubbish, but I thought he came away with a bit of credit. Antonio, I think if you're going to do that, then you need an athlete in the middle, and perhaps perhaps Kiate is that athlete, but you could pick anyone to come out of there. But I certainly agree that Snodgrass should get a start as well.
Gonzo, do you think he should stick with the same formation? Because it worked against Palace and Middlesbrough. He was probably a bit tactically naive against City, thinking it would work again. But do you think he should stick with it because it's back down to sort of the mid-table standard?
Exactly right. He should stick with it for exactly those reasons. He got it wrong by trying that, by thinking you can only go with 2 midfielders against Manchester City. I remember, I was there last night and sort of watching through my, they had a field day. You'd have seen, because you watched it on telly, and Silva and players of that caliber can sort of just pass around you when you've got 2 in the middle. It seemed like Southampton, you have to go for the jugular. I think that's where he got it wrong. He was a bit excited by the success of Palace, and he thought, right, we're gonna go for it, and you just can't on that big open pitch. You just can't give a team like that so much space. But it's different. We're at St Mary's, Southampton team with injuries. We can go there, and I do think we can do a job against them.
Well, we'll get your prediction at the end of the show as always. Our defence, I mean, Byram and Creswell got torn apart against City. When we played Southampton at our place and got beat 3-0, our fullbacks got targeted a little bit, and that's how they got their first one when they done Nordveit at right back when Bertrand got in behind. Does that concern you? They're going to come at our fullbacks again, because that's how they scored against Swansea in midweek. They went after the right back again.
Fullbacks are very concerning at the moment. There's no 2 ways about it. You can't disguise the fact. I'd like to see a stat, and you guys probably know more than me, about how many goals have actually been conceded by us, by the winger getting down the wing and beating the fullback and cutting it back. It's almost like FIFA, where the opposition seems to score so many goals in that same way. I think Cresswell's been poor since he's been back from injury, and Byram's still looking a bit shaky. So it is a worry. Yeah, both of them have got to have much better performances on Saturday.
There's not much we can do to change it, though, is there, X? I mean, obviously we've got Ginger on the bench, but in terms of fullbacks, there's just no options. No,
you're right. Exactly. There isn't many options. I mean, I hope Mazaraku will be back soon. That will give a bit of competition for Cresswell. But yeah, Arbiola is still technically on the books. But you're right. There isn't really a right back or a left back option. So yeah, we've got to persist with it and hope that they raise their game.
Well, to make it worse for West Ham, we've only kept 1 clean sheet on the road in the Premier League this season. There's only 1 team worse than us who's kept none, and that's Sunderland, unsurprisingly. Gonzo, is dead balls going to be key for this one? I think Southampton have a tendency to concede quite a few goals to set pieces. I think they did again on midweek.
Yeah, well, particularly with their centre backs out, with Andy Carroll. being as dominant as he is in the air. It's not just set pieces either. I just think crosses and set pieces are going to be important. If there was one thing that was disappointing for Manchester City, is we didn't really get Carroll in and around the box and get any high balls. And you understand we're not going to be able to play tick-a-tack of football and be able to knock it around Manchester City and do that. And if you just concede that and you think, well, hold on a second, we're not going to gain any midfield control here, at least try a bit of hoofball, And I just think maybe if you want to get a couple of wide players in elevated positions, Carroll in the box and a set plays, as you alluded to, then we can cause them bother.
Well, we only had one corner against Man City, so that's probably why we struggled to get it into Andy Carroll. I don't know the stat for the fullbacks, etc. I think I'm right in saying that actually we've conceded about 85% of our goals from open play. So we're very, very good at defending set pieces. Probably helps having Carroll and that, but 85% of our goals come from open play, and most of them are probably coming down our wings. Right, before I ask these two if they're confident and for score predictions and for their final word on the pay-per-view, make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you're watching it embedded on the website, type in youtube.com/HammersChat and hit that subscribe button just down there. Be kind, be nice. And if you've enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. X, are you confident? What are you thinking? What does Bilic need to do? How do we win this game?
I'm going to be a little bit careful with my predictions because if you listen to my radio show, I get a bit carried away. I thought we were going to get a result against City. So I'm going to be a little bit more cautious this time and go for a draw. I think a 1-1 maybe. I think, like Gonzo said, you've got to get the ball into Carroll. So set pieces, crosses into him against their centre-backs is key. And we just need to cut out individual mistakes. I know that's easier said than done, but you look at the Man City game, pretty much every goal they scored came from individual mistakes. So we've just got to be a lot more solid.
X, would you take a draw right now if I offered it to you?
Good question. Yes.
Gonzo, what about yourself? Are you confident? How do we get something from this game?
Just by the way we said, I think we get something from the game by not thinking too much about what happened against Manchester City, even though we've mentioned it repeatedly. I think you go in with the confidence of Middlesbrough, the confidence of Crystal Palace, and you do more of the same, and you get balls up to Carroll and you get Antonio in and around him, because if nothing else, those two players are dominant Premier League players, amongst the best this season. So we get them involved, as X rightly said. We cut out the silly mistakes, and I just I really think we can get something to such a point. To the question you asked X, which was, would you take a draw? I wouldn't take a draw. I think we can go and win this.
Previous seasons, I would have took a draw for this one, but given their form, I probably wouldn't, and just because of the way Southampton are playing. My only concern going into this game is Southampton play 3 in the middle, and if we play 2, I think we're going to ask for a little bit of trouble, because they are, as much as they're not City, they are a ball-playing football inside. They get the ball down on the deck, and if they've got 3 against our 2, and if it is Czech, who can sometimes be indisciplined with his positioning at best, he can sometimes be caught wayward, and Obiang will be left out on his own against 3 centre midfielders, if you like. But they can be very creative, that 3. They control the game, they're patient, they can do patient football, then all of a sudden do a quick 1-2, and someone's away down the wing before you know it, and that's dangerous against Southampton. So what I'm saying is, Bilic needs to have a plan B. That's something he's been lacking probably since he's got here, actually. But last season he didn't need one as such because we were winning, so he didn't really need a plan B. But this season, and against Man City, it wasn't working. It took him until the 62nd minute to make a sub when we're 3-0 down. He needs a plan B before we kick off, and that is, if they're dominating the centre of the park, perhaps Lanzini goes into the middle and helps out Obiang, Chiati, and Antonio goes out on the left wing, and we go 4-3-3 match up to Southampton or something. But I wouldn't take a draw. Gonzo, X has gone 1-1. Gonzo, what's your score prediction? I've got one more question after this, by the way. This doesn't end the show.
3-1 to West Ham.
Crikey almighty. I'm agreeing with X, actually. I'm saying 1-1. As much as I wouldn't take a draw, I think it's going to finish 1-1. Right, final question. It's a bigger one than the predictions. X, if we lose, what's the pressure? Is there pressure on Bilic? Is there pressure, we could essentially be just 6 points ahead of the relegation zone at the end of the weekend?
Yeah, good question again. You're good at this, mate. I think I think there's going to be a little bit of pressure because there's a real feeling of negativity when we lose. So yeah, naturally the pressure increases every time we do. But to be fair, as I said earlier when you asked about Southampton, I think there's a number of teams that are poorer than us. So in terms of relegation, I don't think we've got anything to worry about. I think we're actually playing for pretty much nothing at the moment. So hopefully we can use that so that we're not playing with too much pressure and actually grind out some decent results and have a decent finish to the season. So I don't think the pressure is too much on him, but obviously he loses and loses again, the negativity comes back and we're back where we were a few weeks ago.
What about yourself, Gonzo? If we lose, does the pressure increase? Would it just make the West Brom game, like X has got a point, we might not have so much pressure going into this one, we're playing away from home, etc. But if we lose, we're then playing at home to West Brom. Is that when the pressure and the stakes gets...
Well, West Brom aren't mucking around. It's West Brom this season is all like West Brom of previous seasons. They're a decent team. The pressure on Bilic, there will be pressure on Bilic, but no more so than there has been. I'll stick to the thing that I've been saying for a little while, which is I think Bilic is safe. I don't think he'll get sacked this season. But I don't see Bilic, and I haven't ever seen Bilic. I don't think Bilic will get his contract renewed. Now, last time I said that, there was a load of comments with me, everyone saying that I said I wanted Bilic sacked. That's not what I'm saying, just to be clear. I don't think the board will renew his contract, but I also don't think they'll sack him. So I don't think there's any pressure on him. Like X, I don't think we're going to get relegated. We're too good for that. We're nowhere near Man City and all that, obviously, but we're too good to get relegated. But certainly there will be pressure, and the pressure will come in your scenario that if we then lose to West Brom, the talk will be about, well, which manager are the board going to look at next? That sort of pressure, rather than he's getting sacked tomorrow, if you know what I mean.
I think it depends on the manner of the performance. If we lie down again like we did against City, I think that's what people get angry about. It's not about getting beat 4-0 by City. That's not what people are getting angry about. It's the fact that we let them beat us 4-0, essentially. I think that's what really irked people. And big questions, and hopefully we'll get the answers. Gonzo just touching on there about Bilic, the board, etc. We'll be back Friday night, tomorrow, 8:30 live with our cup of tea. And we'll be discussing things like that a little bit more in depth. We'll be back live on Saturday, straight after the game, with our review, regardless of what happens. Hopefully celebrating 3 points. But X, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure, mate. Thanks again.
Gonzo, thank you as always.
Pleasure, my friend.
And thank you to you guys for joining us at home.